What is going on, folks? What is going on? We are live. Late night stream. It's about 10 p.m. on a Sunday. Hope everyone had a good Christmas, right? I'm making sure that from now on, right, setting up a plan in motion now, because now I set up a system. Because what is the whole reason I started the stream for? Procrastination, right? This is the whole reason I set up the stream. I tend to procrastinate certain things. I tend to not be able to focus very well. To just sit down and just, lock in. And these streams always help me lock in, because when I have a camera pointing toward me and I know I'm being recorded and I know I'm going to upload this to my channel, and it automatically gets uploaded. It's not that I have to edit or anything like that. Everything just gets automatically uploaded. It just keeps me in check. It keeps me accountable. And obviously lately, haven't been posting a lot. Haven't been going live. And that's just due to poor excuses. No one's fault but my own. There's poor excuses not wanting to go live. So set up a plan now of checks and balances. I like consequences, and I like consequences to my actions. So I have obviously I don't want my channel to be ruined. So I'm going to now schedule my live streams, schedule them so that I don't miss them. So it's like there's a time that I got to do it. Number one, I'm clocking in when I got to clock into work. And number two, I'm scheduling the live. And number three, now I'm going to set it up that whenever I work, I'm going to try to go live. Right? That is the goal right now. Whenever I have to work on something, I go live. Right? I don't want to be doing a bunch of leisurely work. So from 9 all the way to 5, at least 5:30, probably 5:30, I want to be streaming. From 9 to 5:30, I want to be streaming. And then some days it's obviously going to go into the 9 p.m. because I have more work to do afterwards. But I'm hoping that this keeps me in, because there's a lot of work that I won't do during the day that should have been done during that day, during that period, that now I extended out into later on in the day, and like I said, procrastination. So I'm going to just try to, whenever I have to work, I just want to live stream, because this just keeps me in check. I don't want to leave it up to my motivation. I don't want to leave it up to my emotions if I want to or don't want to stream. I don't care if I have a meeting. There's only a couple important meetings where I'm going to have to use this laptop and use this camera, so I can't live stream and be in the meeting at the same time, because I only have one camera, which is annoying, because I should literally set up two cameras. I should have another camera. But unfortunately, for some reason, this camera does not work on my desktop. It only works on my laptop, on my MacBook. It's weird. I don't know how to fix it. I haven't set out the time yet to just kind of play around with it. I was just like, all right, I've just been going live streaming on my laptop. Keep it simple. I want to get the habit started. And there's a principle in adopting new habits, is make it easy. So I don't want to make everything hard, overanalyzing shit. So let's get the show on the road. You already know what I got for your listening pleasure. If you're a regular here. Open that up. Free. Yeah, play. In the morning. Him. On the time. Which is going to be hard to do, because I know I have a lot of work. Well, I just need to make it. I could just campaign down. I just need this campaign. I just need the campaign down. The other stuff is not dire, but this campaign needs to be done right at that time. You're doing it at home. You know, my eyes. All right, I've been talking while the thing's playing. All right, I'm just getting right to it, man.
tell me, in my head, just as an experience, it seems to be that would work out to be I can see in a car, because this is what they'll say a lot of times in a car, right? Is if you're in a car and you lose your brakes, you can graze against the side railing on the right side. So in one thing probably to graze against a railing, another thing to graze against a mountain, right? But even still, at least he would have avoided this tragedy, right?
Yeah, and he had several other opportunities, down the road as well. And one thing I want to point out was the language barrier. Mm-hmm. So when I read on it, I saw that they said there was a language barrier because he actually used an interpreter to, I guess, to do the talking at first, right after it happened, and things like that. So that's what I heard. So that might have been part of the issue. And then just on top of that, the company only had $750,000 in liability insurance. So at that point, I know a lot of people are saying, "Hey, let him out," but somebody's ass is on the line. Right. If this is Walmart, I'm saying he gets less time. They write a check, they fire him, but there's consequences at some point. So if you're broke, well, you're gonna pay in time. Is what I believe. Is what I believe happened. And then just the last thing I'll add is, Lee, to me, I definitely believe he was definitely out of gear. If you can imagine driving a 5-speed and you're going 80 miles an hour, and then you take it out of gear and you want to try to shove it in first, you're cooked. You don't have. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. So that's all I wanted to add. You take it out of gear and you want to speed. He was definitely out of gear. If you can imagine driving a 5-speed and you're going 80 miles an hour, and then you take it out of gear and you want to try to shove it in first, you're cooked. You don't have. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. So that's all I wanted to add. It's just the unfortunate.
And is the thing, like, once you get out of gear, is the issue is that once you get out of gear, you can't get your brakes back. You can't get in gear. Is that the issue?
Well, if he had brakes, he could have got the RPMs right and got back into gear. But with that, but not having any brakes, he wasn't going to be able to get it back into gear. And like you can use the gears in a car. You can use the gears to slow down in a car. But when you're going that fast, yeah, he had no way. And I'm not convinced he had the skill to do it. Either way.
Yeah,
I'm not convinced.
I think it's clear that him being 23, him being only trained in flat roads, he's only driven in Texas. He had never driven down a mountain before. Like, how could he know?
Absolutely.
How could he know?
Just to add the last thing, in traffic, it's funny because through the years, you hear your average drivers, truck drivers don't know what they're doing. Yeah, so funny because even me to this day, and I'm in my car obviously because I don't carry my CDL anymore, but even in Atlanta traffic, because I've just gotten so conditioned to it, when the traffic stops, especially if a truck's behind me, I don't just brake, I tap my brakes. People are like, why do you tap them? Because it will get their attention. I'm not worried about the car in front of me. I know my distance. The person behind me, they're not skilled enough to stop without slamming through me. So I'm trying to give them that light and tap on it so they can catch their attention. That's just something to just to think about. But as far as the amount of time he should get, I'm saying 10 to 15. It's negligent on, I'll say 10 to 12 maybe. It's negligent on him, and I think it was negligent on the carrier as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's my point. And then when a driver tells us, "Hey, I don't feel comfortable," and we always tell them, then don't do it, because at the end of the day, you got to take care of your license. And I've literally spent thousands recovering drivers who felt they were in a spot and couldn't get out of it. But it's just the nature of the business. You got to do it the right way. So shout out to all these truckers for sure, man. I can't say enough about how much I appreciate them. I think they're underappreciated. And I think also what led to him having his job, without that skill, truckers are so needed right now. If a cat can get a CDL, they'll put him in a truck right now. and they don't have skills. So it's just bad. So there's a shortage of like 120,000 truckers right now.
Jesus, I didn't know that. So they're just handing them out. They're just recruiting everybody. Huh?
Absolutely. Shout out, Lee. I'm gonna go ahead and get off, man. I appreciate what you're doing.
No problem. Thank you so much. Shout out to Perry Unlikely. Y'all go check him out. If one of the mods could drop the link to his chat, the link to his channel in the chat. All right, let's bring up. I think Twan says he's got some experience. Jill's Chocolate Boutique. Love that name. Says, hey Lee, you got me thinking about chocolate now. Hey Lee, thank you for covering this topic. My brother's a trucker, and I'm sure he's experienced what the other truckers spoke about, praying for them. Yeah, shout out to all the truckers. And shout out to Corey. Yeah, give me 1 second. You're in the rotation. Shout out to Corey DeMarcus. Shout out to Corey DeMarcus. Rapist says, sorry, Lee, I had to drop off. I'm delivering a load now. My man Corey out there making that money, right? Shout out to the hashtag truck gang. Shout out to Corey. Thank you for so much. All right. Who do we got up here? We got Trucking Liability Adjuster, a.k.a. Devil's Advocate. How are you doing? Oh,
doing all right, man. Can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you so much for being so patient. Really appreciate that.
No problem, man.
How long have you been associated or involved in the trucking business?
So about 2.5 to 3 years, but I have handled over 300 claims involving semi-trucks. So I've seen a lot.
So you're on the insurance side.
Exactly. So
interesting.
So what we do is we go in and we try and ascribe liability based on the facts of loss. And one thing that I've seen that hasn't been mentioned yet was sometimes when it gets this bad, the driver will lawyer up and he'll be represented separately with a different lawyer defending his interests from his actual company. Because one of my first questions would be, was this a breakdown in the training process or was this a breakdown in performance, and to what extent of each? So I'm far from knowing enough to ascribe liability and know how many years I would give either party, how much liability I would place on either party, because you take a 23-year-old and don't train him properly in a state where there's no mountains, he might not even know all these experienced truckers in here. Shout out to them. They go through a lot, more than you guys will ever know. But these things are kind of things that they picked up. So a lot of the methods that they're talking about aren't even required by law. It's just tricks of the trade. Like it's just
You're so right. Look at any 10-year attorney. Like 99% of the stuff that they learned, they did not learn in law school. You just pick it up, right? It's such a great point. I didn't want to interrupt, but I mean, this is such a great point. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to pull everyone back into the shoes of this 23-year-old instead of hearing the veterans of the game say what they would do in this scenario. I mean, because he's never had that option. You can't get that good at what they do without putting in 20 years. Getting 20 years under your belt. So
exactly, and 20 years in this case, he was 3 years old. Right? People come up here. Oh, I've been driving for 10 years. He was 13. So you're saying you can't really ascribe, liability or prison time based on the facts, but I think you can assume that he didn't have a lot of training, and I think you can assume he didn't have a lot of experience, and I think you can assume because he said it, he had never driven down a mountain before. Like, what more do you need to know, right? I mean, he didn't know what he was doing.
Exactly. So you don't see the people that work at his company, like say they were supposed to teach him how to drive down a mountain, knowing that he would be interstate, but they only train him to drive in Texas. And then they're like, oh crap, we got to switch something out. Hey, you're taking this load, we'll pay extra, outside of the state or something. Like if they were to put him in that situation, we're not looking at the people who made that decision. We're looking at this kid deciding whether he should get 10 or 20 years when maybe even more than half the liability should have went on the person who put him in that scenario in the first place. Because I wrote down like 3 questions that I wanted people to chew on, because right now people already know more than most people about trucking just from being involved in this conversation and talking to truckers, because it's not often you talk to. But quick shout out to your Patreon and other members. I just joined and watched the video that you require all of us to watch, and that super motivating, super useful, kind of kicked me into gear, gave me a long-term and short-term motivation and perspective on things. So he's got a lot of good stuff on there. I'd highly recommend joining the Leeds Patreon.
Oh, thank you so much for shouting out my Patreon. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, for sure. But some of those questions that we always ask as liability adjusters are, what would a reasonable and prudent driver have done? And keep in mind, one, he might not have known what these off ramps were. Like in my 2.5 years of handling claims, I've never handled a claim where I've seen one or heard of one being used. So picture a new, and these are drivers that have been driving for 15 years. So picture a driver that's 3 years in. He might not know what one is. He's never driven in the mountains. He's got that working for him. So if I was the other guy, this guy's been driving for 20 years. He's driven through the mountains plenty of times. He's not going to have an excuse not to know what these off ramps are. But if he's a new driver and this is one of his first times driving the mountain, instead of coming down hard on him and giving him under 10 years, I'm asking the person who trained him in, why didn't he take these 3 off ramps? Could he even read the sign going 85 miles an hour, weaving through traffic, trying not to hit other people off the road?
Exactly.
So many other questions.
That's what people talk about too in tunnel vision, right? A lot of the military, police officers, right? You don't really have this situational awareness because you're so locked in. Let me be going 85 miles an hour in a truck with no brakes. I am only looking in like my lane, like 30 feet. That's all I got because it's total concentration, right? Because you're freaking out. Now, logically, if I'm sitting back, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna graze up against this mountain, right? But that's me sitting, just chilling. But if you're actually in that thing and you're sweating and your knuckles and your adrenaline and your nostrils are open and you're taking in air and you're mashing and there's nothing and you keep mashing like it's gonna be something and continuously there's nothing and you're speeding up. Oh, it's hard,
Yeah, going 60 plus miles an hour, 80,000 pounds right behind you. And if you stop, that weight's going to go in front of you. If a wall stops you, slam into cars, that weight's going to go through the both of you. And there's a flip side to your right. So to say that you should have read that sign that he saw in the flash for 4 seconds, known what it was, even though he might not have known what these ramps were from bad training, and taking that exit, probably died anyways, is kind of jumping the gun. So it'd be really hard for me to ascribe full liability on him, because again, ask what a reasonable and prudent driver would have done in this scenario, and that's assuming he's trained incorrectly. And but there's also weather conditions you have to take into account. And again, he was I would say the more immediate issues were the cars that he was avoiding while he was maneuvering in the first place. So there's a lot more questions I would have before I even started to draw a conclusion and accept liability on his behalf, because we haven't even looked at the people who trained him in. And a lot of times he'll have his own lawyer and the company will have a different lawyer. And so sometimes they'll do what's called, are you familiar with like a global settlement where like...
Wait. You said as an insurance company, you wouldn't accept liability on...
No, I would need these questions answered before I started to ascribe liability. But even in situations where there are these unanswered questions, sometimes you'll do a global settlement where we know that the people who died weren't at fault at all. They didn't merge into his lane. They didn't do anything like that. So what sometimes they'll do is 100% liability will be accepted, but then the two parties, this driver and this company, will duke it out to see who has how much of that 100%. So they'll get a number down, and it'll be like, in the millions, $10 million. But who owes that much money based on who contributed the most liability is still yet to be determined. So then the party can walk away with their money. The party who is damaged can walk away with their money, and then the two parties that are wrecked would battle it out. So the driver would have his attorney, his company would have their attorney, and they're pointing fingers now at each other. Like, you didn't train me incorrectly. Well, you were driving, so you're responsible. And then they have that whole nother battle. So we see a lot of this stuff. And then I don't think braking distance is really relevant. I did jot something down.
Because he didn't have any brakes.
He didn't, and even if he did, they would have been pretty useless, because there's the time it takes to see there's a hazard in front of you, and there's the time it takes your foot to hit the brakes, and then there's at least 400 to 600 feet it takes to actually bring your vehicle to a stop, and that's usually unloaded. So I just wanted to give people that perspective next time you're thinking of changing lanes and you see a semi truck off in the distance behind you. if you have to slam your brakes, they're probably going to go right through you. So they know.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for coming up here. No problem. Appreciate your patience and waiting. I know we were kind of slow back here.
No problem.
And I didn't realize you were with the truck until you changed your title. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
And you give us a perspective that we hadn't had so far. So thank you.
For sure.
All right, we are going to keep going. Anybody else in the trucking game? Yes, just trucking. Right. All right. Let me see here. See what the names. We got Trifecta Logistics Trucking. How are you doing?
Hey, what's up?
Thank you so much for coming on. How long have you kind of been associated with the trucking business?
So I've been in the game for about 2 years, going on 3. So I actually got my CDL when I was 23, 2019.
Okay, so you're a youngster too. How do you feel about this situation? How much time would you, if you were the judge, how much time would you give this brother? Kind of, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, like you said, because I knew about the case, but I didn't know about the details. But when you said he got the plea for 10 years, yeah, I said that's fine. But for that 120 years, it's over exaggerated.
Yes. Now, you were just recently kind of getting into it. I guess 2 years, you've probably run into a lot of people who have been doing trucking for a lot longer. Do you feel as though, do you think that you are properly trained to go down mountains? Do you think your training will fit you for that?
So actually, one thing, most important thing I want to hit on was how qualified are the newer drivers nowadays? So the problem is there's no real standard as, with training, versus if you're a lawyer or doctor. It's kind of like whatever region in the country you're in, it's kind of like whatever you get. So the first company that I actually got my training through was what we call mega carriers. So there's a couple of them. So mine was Prime Incorporated, big trucking company. So one of the biggest things is that when you get your CDL, initially, they're not necessarily teaching you the craft itself. They're just more concerned with you passing the test and putting you in a truck as soon as possible. So I wanted to go ahead and do the right thing and actually learn how to drive on a manual transmission. But the thing is, nowadays it's pretty much faster to put somebody in an automatic versus to train somebody, on a manual transmission. So it's kind of like they're rushing you just to, get you in the truck so that you basically just, you're just a monkey in the seat at that point. We're going to put you in your truck as soon as possible. As to, can you drive the truck or not, it really doesn't matter. So my trainer, right? She was a white girl from Texas. Her name was Emily. I'm talking about, she's probably 5 nothing. But the girl could drive like a boss. So my second, third day on the truck, because I'm from New York, so we're in Pennsylvania. So that was the first time I really got the chance to go down a mountain. And I guess the best way to explain it,
you sound like Chaos Rain. Do you know who Chaos Rain is?
Who's that?
The YouTuber. Don't worry about it. Okay, go ahead.
The best way to explain what it feels going downhill in a semi-truck fully loaded is kind of like, I don't know, if you're a kid and you took a laundry basket and you went down the stairs. It's just like this rush of just exhilaration. It's kind of like you don't feel like you lose control of the truck, but that if you don't maintain your speed, things are going to go very badly. So basically, 6 months after that, I kind of left going over the road because mind you, I've been to all 48 except for Rhode Island. So I've been from coast to coast. So I've been on pretty much every mountain. Right now, as we speak, I'm actually in Reno. So at this point, I'm actually a carrier. I'm owner operator, so I'm my own business. So when it comes to how qualified these people are, it's it's hard to say because a couple of months ago when I was actually working with a company and with what was the name again? Rahil, that's the guy's name, right?
Right.
The language barrier. Now, for the most part, a lot of the trucking companies now, you see a lot of minorities in the game. So anywhere from you see your Sikh Indians, you got your Russians, you got your Somalis, you hella Hispanics. So you're right, there is a language barrier. I remember one time when I was working company, this one guy was just standing on my truck. I'm thinking he's trying to rob me. So, I hop out the truck. I'm like, hey man, what's up? he basically just, waved his hands to his body and goes, "Oh man, that's a nice truck, this, that, and that." I'm like, "My man, where you from?" He's like, "Uzbekistan." So dude didn't speak a lick of English, but he's out here driving.
Wow.
So
I guess that goes to the demand. There's so much demand now for truckers that you don't even need to speak English. You're running into truckers who are not even fluent in the language.
Exactly. So now we go to and here's the thing now, and then you see the 110 years is kind of it's gonna scare the younger generation, because now you hear on the news, oh, there's a driver shortage, this, that, and that. That's not necessarily the case, because the conditions that truckers have to deal with, it's kind of like, why am I gonna go drive this truck where I could possibly face 110 years? Mind you, lawyers and doctors, they probably get less time for that, doing malpractice. So why in the hell when I'm gonna go hop in a truck where I'm gonna just work a minimum wage job and basically just make the same amount?
Did you compare lawyers and doctors to working a minimum wage job?
No. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, in regards to,
because it feels like sometimes it feels like it. No, I hear what you're saying. I'm just teasing. But you're exactly right in that it's gonna give new people pause when they see, oh, I can be a trucker, but then, oh, if I accidentally turn the wrong way and run into somebody, now I gotta spend 110 years in jail. Yeah,
right.
You're exactly right.
Like even right now, so I've been here in Nevada for about like maybe 5 or 6 days. I've been down, just the repairs, but can I drive right now? Yeah, but for me to be, DOT compliant, because that's a lot of things. Obviously we're very, regulated. So California is a big state in regards, because they have a port of entry. So 9 times out of 10, if you're a new carrier, you never been through there, you're gonna get pulled in. They're gonna inspect your equipment. So just out of safety, I wanna, even though I'm gonna be down 5, 6 days, that's gonna save me time if I get pulled into one of these DOT inspection sites and they put me out of service and I can't drive. So as far as drivers pre-tripping their equipment, a couple of guys said before, for the most part, when you're starting your shift in the morning, nobody's out here pulling up underneath the truck, making sure this, that, and that works. Because if you're a company driver, you can give 2 fucks. Honestly.
Why is that? If your life is on the line.
I wouldn't say that. You're just making sure, that
no, you said if you're a company driver, you give 2 fucks about your truck being okay to drive?
To the extent of, you just want to make sure it's functional, but I'm just talking about like the extracurricular stuff, the extra systems of the truck. You got what I'm saying?
No, because I don't know. First of all, I don't know anything about pre-checks, and I don't know anything about that.
So,
but when you say, it just sounds weird to a civilian when you say, I'm going to get in this 80,000-pound vehicle, but I give 2 fucks if I'm a company driver about how the vehicle runs. If I got to sit in the vehicle, and someone said on another stream that trucking was like one of I think the 7th most dangerous occupation in the nation.
Absolutely. Because coming in,
so you would think that you do give 2 fucks about how the truck is going to run.
That's what I'm saying. But I would say I don't want to make it seem like it's all, but there is a percentage of drivers who are not really taking it as seriously as it should be. So one of the main things I'm checking for, that I'm having air pressure, meaning that my brakes work correctly and that I'm still connected to the trailer itself. Because you'd be surprised, like when you're at these truck stops, it's like the wild west. You don't know what type of cycle you're parking next to. Somebody could have chopped off your brake lines, and then you're going down the road, and then you have a situation you're not.
Right.
So it's just I guess not being professional enough. That's one of the main issues now in the industry. And taking that caution, in mind. And that mountain that you went at, I went to Colorado, and that thing too. Back when I was working with that company out of Chicago, I went down that mountain probably maybe once or twice, and I actually got a message from my dispatcher saying, "Listen, during wintertime, don't ever take that mountain. Whatever you don't, I don't care if you have to go 2 or 3 hours out of route. Don't take that mountain." don't do it.
Mm.
Now I've done it. I mean, I'm at a point where I'm just, I know what I'm doing. Yeah, sure, it's tolerable, but for somebody like him, you only drove a flat land for him to go over that mountain. He should have just pulled up and say, "Hey, listen, I can't do it." At the end of the day, when you're behind that wheel, you're the most liable. You're the captain of that ship. So if this goes wrong, that's on you.
Gotcha. All right, well, listen, thank you so much for coming up and sharing your knowledge on this because, most of us don't know anything about trucks. We don't know anything about the trucking business. So I appreciate you coming up and letting us know. So shout out to you, the Trifecta Logistics Trucking. Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too. Thank you so much. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and close the back, guys. So whoever's in the backstage, I'm going to get to you guys, but we're going to close it on up. All right. Poor Empire of Jesus Christ. I see you back there. I just got to get the truckers first. All right, let's pull up because I said I was going to do the truckers. All right, so we're getting a lot of truckers. Oh, we got a woman trucker. All right, so we got Twan, Big Twan in the house. How are you doing? Where are you at? Let me unmute you. Okay, you're unmuted. All right, Twan, it seems like you are listening to the YouTube on the you're listening to YouTube and you're doing it on the stream. Yeah, I can hear you now. How are you doing?
I can't hear you, Lee.
You can't hear me?
I know you can hear me, so I can try to drop out and come back, but I know you're gonna close the back.
So just come out and I'll pull you right back up. Can you hear me? You can't hear me at all. Okay. All right, just leave and I'll pull you back up. All right, let's get another one. I think we're all out of truckers. All right, so we're just gonna go in order. All right, we got just trucking in the house. How are you? Just trucking? Oh, there you go. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Just trucking. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Perfect. All right. So thank you for coming up. How long have you been in the trucking business?
Man, 8 months.
8 months. Okay, we got a new one in the house. We got a brand new one.
It's kind of hit home for me a little bit because I'm also 23. So it's like, it's
Can you
dangerous.
speak up a little bit? You're a little bit hard to hear.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I'm also 23 and yeah, it's definitely a dangerous profession,
Mm-hmm.
And, that one dude, he was kind of right. There's a lot. There's not a lot, but there are a few truckers I see, I'll wake up, I'll see, they just hop in and leave. They're not gonna see what's on it. Like, check the trailer, check the truck, see, what's good, what's not good. Because, whenever I leave, I try to make sure everything's good.
Got you. How do you feel about as a young trucker or a baby trucker? How do you feel about this situation where another 23-year-old wasn't trained properly, freaked out, and killed 4 people, and now he's got 110 years? Does that make you look at your situation, or kind of what are your thoughts?
I'm blessed. That's one. Two, they definitely should have trained him better. But at the same time, there is complacency in that a little bit because once he saw that his brakes weren't working, he should have just stopped right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard. It's really hard to say whether or not it's on him or it's on the company because I have this rule where I just try not to drive at night. I don't want to drive, period. So
right.
It's definitely tough. I mean, if I was in his shoes, I would definitely take a do it over 110.
110 seems messed up, right?
Yeah. So
what, if you were the judge, what would you have given him?
Super big. 10 to 15.
10 to 15.
10 to 15. And that's cool. You could have took that. Good behavior would have left that for 7. This is a good thing.
Gotcha. All right. 10 to 15. That seems to be in line with excuse me, with what most people are saying. All right.
Yeah.
So,
it's crazy because it's crazy because a lot of the times there'll be cars that kind of swerve, like try to cut you off, and you'll honk because you're going too slow. Because I try to take my time because I look at it like this, nobody's looking up for my phone if something happens to me. So I'm trying to take my time and regardless of what anybody says, I just take my time and I think should have definitely done it with more care. You never know.
absolutely. All right, Just Trucking. Thank you so much for coming up. Really appreciate it. And wish you a safe journey in your career. That is awesome. All right, shout out to all the truckers. No problem. Thank you for coming up. Yeah, and just shout out to the Steel Curtain clarifying for Poppy Blanco about the plea deal. The prosecutors said they offered him a plea deal. Now, to be fair, I said it was 10 years. I don't know. It could have been 8 years. It could have been 12 years. But the prosecutor's office was like, we offered him a deal, and the only deal he would take is if we reduced all of these charges to a traffic ticket. A traffic ticket. He wasn't signing up for 1 day in jail. So, hey, man, we offered him a deal. Could have been 8 years, could have been 10, could have been 12. They didn't really specify that, I could tell, but just say 10 years. They offered him a deal. He didn't want to take. He said, no, give me a traffic ticket. They said, okay, let's go to trial. And, he's crying in the trial because he got convicted and is looking at 110 years, right? Shout out to Burmy Brothers says 2018, 16 people died, 13 people injured. A driver failed to yield to a stop sign and drove through a hockey bus. He got 8 years and future deportation. Yes. And guys, this is so important. What some of you guys are seeing is that the laws are just not uniform. What you get for killing someone in California and Northern California can be different than what you get in Southern California. What you get for killing someone in North Dakota is going to be different than what you get in Chicago. It's going to be different than what you get in New York. Certainly it's going to be different than what you get in Atlanta, Fulton County. Right? So you're still killing somebody, you're still taking a life, but your punishment is different depending on where your house is, depending on where your mortgage is. But it's still a life. You're more, it's weird. It's not really uniform. Shout out again to Marie. Marie, thank you so much, Marie. Slide in the cash out. Really appreciate it. Thank you as well, Solomon Kennard. Thank you as well, Bennett. Bennett is a trucker. Says coasting out of gear is illegal. That's what Bennett says. Shout out to Bennett, right? And so shout out to Burmy as well. Just noting the fact that, hey, how is this fair? If, they had that white woman, she drove, killed 3 people, she got 4 years. White woman kills 3 people, gets 4 years. Hispanic man kills 4 people, gets 110. Right? So it's where's the justice? Right? Where is the justice? All right, let's bring Twan back up. All right, Twan, I'm gonna move you up ahead real quick because you were up here before. Twan, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I get you perfectly now. Perfectly. All right, so you are kind of associated with trucking too, is that right?
That is correct, my friend.
Okay, and thank you for coming up. It's great to have you up here. What's your association to the trucking business?
So let me give you a little background, right? So I'm ex-military. I used to work in the oil fields, West Texas. So I've driven things from 60 tons to 100,000 pounds at various given times throughout my life. In West Texas, you work so much, like you don't even have hours to drive as a trucker. Like, so I've driven these circumstances that these people are talking about. But one thing you have to understand is, just like in regular cars, all CDL drivers ain't the same. You can have a person like you drive and you'll be like, man, I'll never ride with Ricky. This dude can't drive at all. But he think he's a great driver. The same thing exists in the trucking industry. People think they're awesome drivers, but they suck. Then, so One thing that's very important about having a CDL, they have a portion of the test that's called a brake check. If you can't pass that portion of that test, you can never receive your CDL. And it's probably about, I think it's like 12 to 15 steps you have to do in order to pass a brake test. So this, and the reason why the test is so important, so when you're going down just a 5% grade, your truck can haul butt away from you, and you got to run into the runaway ramp or risk, putting someone's life at danger. But if you're the only one on the road, you just might risk a speeding ticket.
Right.
So that is something that's very vital to know. Everything that the trucker said before me was right on point, but trucking is very dangerous. So, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I used to be a trucker. I was also a mechanic, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can look at these, let's say, expanded brake drums or fractured brake calipers, whatever the case may be, and tell like, no, this is not the truck's fault. This is definitely the driver's fault. Mm-hmm. If you come out of gear going down the hill, it is almost impossible to get back in that gear and get that truck under control. Mm. You can do it if you have brakes. If you have no brakes, you're just behind a deadly weapon. You got 100,000-pound anvil, battery ram, and you got innocent people who are oblivious to what you have going on in your truck. So that's the liability for him. So he's liable. So if I was the judge, you know what I would give him? 110 years.
Wow.
And let me tell you why. Mm-hmm. So just for easy math, 25 divided by 110 instead of, because he had 24 counts, let's say he had 25 and 110. That's 4 years per count. But the problem is he has killed 4 people, so now it has multiplied. Right?
Yeah, that's not a good way to do this.
And no, the math is a little skewed, but he's just trying to put it in, common.
What if the prosecution would have charged him with 60 counts?
Well,
then your number would have went up more?
It would have went up more. However, the court showed that, right? So this industry is in high demand. It is much needed in our country. Mm-hmm. The judge knows if you give this dude 110 years, it's going to set a precedent. So in order not to let that happen, get with the prosecutor, the judge get with the prosecutor, hey, offer him a plea deal. He wasn't drinking, he wasn't on drugs, he has a clean record. This is the first time of this happening. Offer him a plea deal. So boom, I think they offer 12 years. Mm-hmm. You give him a 12-year offer, and if he turned that down, then that's on him. He chose that person. The court didn't give it to him. The court gave you, if you did injure someone, you killed someone. So we're going to offer you a plea bargain. And if you accept it, you accept it. If I'm facing 110 years and you offer me 12, by golly, 12 years.
I totally agree with that. Now that, I don't know, the whole math thing, the lawyers can't do math anyway, right? So when you started talking about the math thing, I wasn't following you on that. Right. But if he got a 10-year deal, a 12-year deal, an 8-year deal, and said, no, I'm not signing anything other than a traffic ticket, then hey, man, you roll the dice.
Right. You roll the dice and you lost. And then they talking about the language barrier. We all know that native Hispanic talking person who will flip the script on you real quick and be like, no, I blame Glaze. Yes, you do. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But you won't play like you don't know because you think it's going to benefit you. Not in this case, because all U.S. cases must be presided in. That's the law.
Yeah, I hear you. It's an interesting case, but I agree that, if he got a reasonable plea deal and he rejected it because he wanted the traffic ticket and get out, anytime at all, and roll the dice for that 110, when you play the game and you lose, you decided to play the game.
And they didn't give him an olive branch, they gave him an olive tree. I think that's more reasonable. He didn't think that.
I hear you. I hear you. Thank you so much, Twan. Y'all shout out to Twan. Thank you so much for coming up.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me.
Shout out to Twan. Glad you're able to come back to with the audio, all right? What does Devil's Advocate say? These situations are sadly why there will be a continuing push for the automation of trucking. Such a disconnect between people and truckers. Little empathy for them. Much love for the truckers and shout out to the Patreon gang. Yeah, shout out to all the Patreon members. You know what? And you know, we haven't really talked about this. The Devil's Advocate is exactly right. But you know, first of all, let me just go back to here. You know, people keep saying that this is an off ramp, but this is not an off ramp. This says runaway truck ramp. So this is him. This is our guy. Instead of driving down the runaway truck ramp, which was going to save him, instead of going right, he goes left. Right? He goes left. In fact, look where his wheels are. His wheels are straddling this line, right? They're straddling the rightmost lane. But then look where he ends up. Look where he ends up. Now, look where his wheels are now. His wheels are straddling the leftmost lane. So he went in the opposite direction of the damn runaway ramp. And he's running this guy. Somebody said, oh, he should have grazed the mountain, right? He's running this guy to graze the mountain because look where this guy's wheels are at. This guy's wheels are now in the, he's almost on the shoulder, right? Whereas this truck is now all the way on the left-hand side. So instead of going to the safe place, he went the wrong way. Now, an automated driver, a Tesla programmed correctly would have easily taken this ramp. Easily. Not only that, guys, but let's talk about this. If I can pull up. What did we talk about? We talked about the danger of riding down these roads. You know what we talked about the guy saying, listen, I don't know why these people died. It should have been me. Why, Lord, did I get spared and these people died? All right? It's not fair. That's what he said at trial. He wished it could have been him and not the people. But when you see the video, you clearly see, here, let me get this out, that he had the chance to drive off of the mountain. Now, is this 23-year-old really going to drive off of the mountain? No, he's going to try to run this truck into the damn mountain. He's not driving off the mountain. But what would an automated truck that lost complete control would have done? An automated truck can absolutely drive off the mountain. Right? You lose the value of the vehicle, but the vehicle has insurance anyway. So a robot just drives off the side of the mountain, no problem. And all of these lives are spared. So this is another thing when we talk about the automation of trucks that needs to be considered. These robots can just drive off the damn mountain, right? It's interesting. All right, so let's bring up, we got a trucker here. We got a trucker. All right, so now, dispatch trucking logistics. Can't speak anymore. Dispatch trucking logistics. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Hello, I'm Sir Richard Branson, and I'm founder of Virgin Voyages. And I'm Ryan Reynolds, owner of Aviate.
Chicago Bulls basketball shorts who trying to scream. Chicago 8 post up in the paint. Shot me out the city. Let's get it. Step on one of you niggas. Spit on you when I feel it. Try to act like they don't smoke with game. They bring me up and they feel it. This is beat it. Pussy punch. She won't sit on some of these inches. Get this pussy burger down. Bring on some of your children. I know how to take the father's back and sit on one of these fillers. I'm already top of hollow. I ain't been sitting at one of they temples. So just beat. I ain't came to all the things I go to get. I be twitching. Then my eye be count. Fucked up. I be screaming. I be bleaching. Then my mind be count. Fucked up. I'm killing. You ain't spitting. You ain't never did no fuck up. You pretending. I was gritting. Stand up, be your shit and rap your shit for Christmas. Gold cake. He ain't got no face. The lawyers don't dismiss his ground.
Oh, shit. I'm about to get a fucking copyright strike. Damn it. Fuck. I didn't even know I wasn't playing. Oh. Fuck, man. Damn, son. Damn, son, damn. Guys, I didn't even know I wasn't. I was playing the lead attorney in the background.
You the craft itself. You're just more concerned with you passing the test and putting you in a truck as soon as possible. So I wanted to go ahead and do the right thing and actually learn how to drive on a manual transmission. But the thing is, nowadays it's pretty much faster to put somebody in an automatic versus to train somebody, on a manual transmission. So it's kind of like they're rushing you just, get you in the truck so that you basically just, you're just a monkey in the seat at that point. We're going to put you in your truck as soon as possible. Ask to, can you drive it?
Damn. Now I'm on the. Damn. Hold on. How much did I play of that? Alright, I only played like 1 minute, I guess. Damn, is that gonna give you a copyright strike? Fuck! I'm gonna remove it. Alright, man. Fuck. I'll just keep going. I'll edit it. Whatever. Let me mute myself now. Like a goddamn idiot. All right, guys. Got some good information for tomorrow. I think my sales strategy. So I was gonna go on bigger pockets, right? And I was gonna do what I originally was doing, just keep posting and keep posting, and try to get clients like that through the forums. Now the only thing about those clients is, I always got newbie clients. Newbie clients were the ones that would reach out to me. Now, obviously, I'm not in a position. I haven't marketed myself yet to where I would appeal to the higher type of clients that I would like to reach out to me. The type of clients that I want to work with are probably already established. So I have to have a lead generation system that would attract those people. So in the meantime of building that lead generation system, I have to do outreach marketing. And so what I was going to do is, currently I'll go on to Instagram. I'll go to the hashtag. I'll try to find people that are doing giveaways, right? So if they can afford to do a giveaway, that's just a simple indicator that, okay, there might be something going on. They're doing giveaways. I'm going to look at their followers. Hashtag giveaway on Instagram. And then I use their Instagram page to see if they are retargeting. If they're not retargeting and they're an e-commerce company, they're missing out on mad money. They're missing out on mad money. So that's one way. I'm going to look at their product pages. I'm going to look at their landing, like I said, product pages. Do they have any pixels up? But the main thing is, are they retargeting? If you're an e-commerce company and you're not retargeting, it's pretty silly to me. It's pretty silly. Hey, you may not need to, but I think you're just leaving money on the table. You're leaving money on the table. So I'm going to work that strategy tomorrow. It should be a good one. And I'm going to do custom videos. Like, I'm going to screen record and then find out who works at the company, send it to them, send it to everyone that, I have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, so I'm going to use that to send to people that works within the company. And that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. Yeah, I feel like it's way better than the freaking Bigger Pockets strategy. The Bigger Pockets strategy was good for getting started. Very good for getting started. I'm not trying to work for free, particularly. That's what I mean right now. So, all right, guys. Catch y'all later. Probably going to get copyrighted for this freaking video because I forgot to mute myself earlier. I can edit it. I'll edit it later. I don't got time for this right now, though. So, talk to you guys later. Peace.